When calling back unsold showroom traffic customers, it is very important to make sure that you start the deal fresh. You don't want to bring up any of yesterday's problems. It is a whole new day. When you listen to salespeople call customers that did not purchase a vehicle, a lot of times they're going to bring up the old objection. They're going to talk about things that prevented the deal from happening last time, and they're going to dive into a problem that might not even be there. Start fresh, start clean. The introduction. Hi, buyer. It is great to talk to you again. This is from the dealership. I wanted to call and just say thank you for visiting us. I really appreciate you taking the time to come in. Start out with a thank you. Start out with big appreciation for whatever they did yesterday. Start out with a smile. You don't have to ask the person, hey, did you buy a car yet? You don't need to ask them, is the price still too high? Is the trade still too low? Just thank them for coming in and then pause. Wait, give it a beat. If they purchased a vehicle someplace else, or if the problem is on the tip of their tongue, they're going to tell you. Now let's jump into some questions. These questions are designed to get the buyer talking and to give you fuel for the appointment. The goal of calling these buyers up is to bring them into the dealership. If at any point they say to you, hey, can I come back in? Just take the appointment. Set the appointment. You do not have to go through the whole call guide. Questions. I also wanted to see if you had any unanswered questions. Give them a chance to talk. They're usually going to say no. They may have something, though, that they need an answer to. And when you provide that answer, just make sure that it moves you in the direction of the appointment. How did you like the vehicle? They're usually going to say something positive. Touch on those positives. Well, I really liked the way it drove. I liked the color. I liked the way that it looked. Now, when you're asking how did you like the vehicle, you're also giving them a chance to tell you if there are any problems. How did you like the vehicle? Well, I liked it, but there just wasn't enough room in the back seat. If there's a problem, they'll tell you. Now, this next question. If I have a room full of people, sometimes people ask me, why would I want to ask them that? That's not a good question to ask. The reason why you want to ask is because they did not buy a car from you. So you want to get it figured out so you could move towards the appointment and a car deal. What are you comparing the vehicle that we drove last night to? What are you comparing it to? Figure it out. Maybe they're not comparing it to anything. Maybe they're comparing new to new to used, used to new. You never ever know. You're trying to figure out what else they're looking at because this information will help you set an appointment. Now, after you've asked these questions, you're very well set up for the close. Let's look at the first one, the one thing close. One of the most popular closes in automotive. It's been used for years. I didn't make it up. I wish I did. Very, very effective close. Because it is either going to give you the fuel for the appointment, or you find out the one thing stopping people from doing business so you could go talk to a sales manager. If there was one thing stopping you from moving forward on the vehicle that we looked at, what would that one thing be? If there was one thing stopping you from moving forward on the vehicle that we looked at, what would that one thing be? And then give them a chance to talk. Maybe it isn't the price. Maybe it isn't the color. Maybe it's the objection that they already had. When you narrow down the objection, though, you could either use that to set the appointment, or you could take the one thing to a manager. A variation on the one thing is the main thing. What is the main thing holding you back right now? What is it? Or at the bottom, you have the car or the money or the vehicle or the money, and that goes like this. You know, the reason why you're deciding to hold off, is it because you're not sure it's the vehicle that you want? Or does it have something to do with the money? If they say the vehicle, well, you know, I don't think it's the right car. Okay. Well, what would you suggest? What would be the right car? Talk about a car that might work for them. If it is the money, Narrow down to figure out what part of the money is actually the problem. It might not be the price. You could say, okay, so you're saying the money. When you're saying the money, is it the price of the car, the payment, the down payment, what we gave for your car, the interest rate? What is it? Figure out what the true objection is. The key points to this call guide: start the deal fresh, start the deal clean, start with a thank you, start with just appreciation for the fact that they came out to look at a vehicle. When you're going through the questions, find a car deal. The reason these questions are there is because it gets the buyer talking, and you want to listen to what they're saying. They will let you know what's important to them and what it takes to put the deal together. And then with the closes, you could pick one. If that doesn't work, you could shift to the other one. Hey, buyer, if there was one thing that was stopping you from moving forward on that vehicle that we drove last night, what would that one thing be? Well, I'm not really sure. I got to think about it. It's going to be a little while before I do something. All right, when you're saying you got to think, you got to think about the vehicle, or do you got to think about the money? What is it? So you can use these in conjunction with each other when you need to. This call guide is very effective at selling the appointment, which is our goal. And if you use this with every single buyer, you're going to be on the right track to bringing these people back into the dealership.